Hi everybody, welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel and welcome back to the second episode of Keep, Loan or Sell. I'm again joined by Mark, Kris and Iain. How is everybody this evening?
Brilliant.
It doesn't seem like 5 minutes since I last spoke to you all.
I know, yeah.
Did you just nearly fall off your chair?
I did, yeah. I went to itch me arse. Just missed the seat. That was huge.
On that bombshell, if you haven't seen the first episode, there will be a link in the description. We went through the defenders and the goalkeepers of the current Newcastle United squad, and we went through to see who would be kept, who would be loaned, and who would be sold. There was a bit of ruthlessness and a bit of heavy discussion, so go and check that one out and then come back to this one where we'll do the midfielders and the strikers. I'm going to jump straight into it and continue from where we left off. So this is the current setup, and I think starting with a no-brainer for everybody involved is Bruno Guimaraes, however you want to pronounce it. We'll call him Bruno for this episode. I think obviously we're going to sell him. No, we're going to keep him. And I think everyone's in agreement there that we're going to keep Bruno for probably a lot longer than whatever his current contract is, provided he wants to stay.
As long as he'll have for.
As long as he'll have for, yeah. Yeah, as long as he doesn't get too good. Yeah, absolutely. But moving on to one of the youngsters, we've got Elliot Anderson here. Obviously spent last year on loan. Was it League 2 he was in? Or was it League 1?
Bristol Rovers, I think.
Bristol Rovers, he scored a boatloads of goals, didn't he?
They were calling him the Geordie Maradona.
Bristol City.
No, it was Bristol Rovers. Because they didn't win something like 8-0 or 7-0.
Yeah, last game of the season, wasn't it?
No, Rovers is halves, isn't it?
Blue and white, innit?
Blue and white, yeah. Quarters and halves.
There's the one with the crest where it's got like a fella doing this with
like a pirate
telescope. Hi. Don't think it's a pirate, like, but yeah.
Wherever he was, he's not there now, and that's the important thing. He's now back at Newcastle. But what do we do with him next season, Mark? I'm probably of the opinion that we loan him to a championship club, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's the first entry into that the loan section for us, for Newcastle this season. He is one that has got youth on his side still. I think he's just turned 19, so he's definitely very talented. He's a one that catches the eye. He's been in and around the first team squad probably for the last couple of years, so from a very early age he's been involved. So I think he's potentially a one that we could, maybe this will be our first Geordie of the new regime that could potentially come good.
Is there an argument that if we're bringing in, better facilities, better staff, that we keep him around so we can nurture him a bit, or does he go straight out on loan for you, Kris?
He needs to go into the championship for me. He's shown that he can do it in League 1, like we just mentioned there. Like Mark said, opposite to what we had a discussion about on the last episode, that he's 19-year-old. I think it'll be a 6-month loan, though. I don't think it'll be a full season. I think he'll go on a 6-month loan, see how he does. Then obviously we'll assess it in January, because we don't know what we're doing in relation to bringing strikers in at the club. It might be a case where we might want to keep him and he gets his time in the cup games. But I think he needs to go to the next level now, go in the championship, see what he can do there. Then we'll reassess it in January or the summer, depending on how long the loan's going to be for.
Iain, do you concur?
Yeah, obviously he's a talent. Was it League 1 he was in, or was it League 2?
I thought it was League 2 because I don't think he played against the Macros. And he got them promoted to League 1.
Got them promoted,
Bristol Rovers League 2, they got promoted to League 1. Yeah.
So, but I do think to get him in the championship, you need to see how good he is at a much higher level.
If that's the case, if it was League 2, skip League 1 straight in the championship.
Yeah. I still agree with Kris. Get him on loan. Interesting. Kris said 6 months, and then see where he's at. Good suggestion, but definitely needs to be playing at a much higher level than League 2.
I think when you look at what he did last season, he scored a lot of goals there. He got a lot of assists. The fans seem to really love him. I think they'd be chomping at the bit to have him for another season. Get down there. He's probably got some interest in that because probably feels he's got a little bit of unfinished business. The fact that he's helped get them promoted and get them up. So it would be nice to see him in the Championship, but giving him another season in what will probably be comfortable surroundings for him, which will maybe help bring out the best in him. But in a tougher league, in League One, than he's been used to in the previous season, could be something that helps him out. But I think the Championship would be a good test for him.
I'm not sure how it works, but I'm pretty confident you can only play for 2 teams in a single season.
Is it not in a calendar year?
I can't remember, but I think what Mark suggested there, maybe he does go back to Bristol and does that 6 months in League One. Then if he's doing well in League One, if he hasn't racked up any minutes for Newcastle, which he probably won't because he'll probably go straight out on loan, then look at the Championship to loan out to a Championship team. I don't know how it works, to be honest with you, but I'm pretty sure you're allowed to.
Because hadn't Ben Arthur go to sign for someone because he had already played for a few teams.
But you can look at that the other way as well. Like, you could put him at the Championship, and if he doesn't quite cut at that level yet, get him back after 6 months and then put him. Yeah, it could absolutely wreck him. But I think we're all in agreement. He definitely goes on loan. Where and who that's to, that's up to Shola Amiobi to decide as the loan manager. So we'll leave that to him. Okay, moving on. Next on the list is someone who recently signed a 6-year contract. Someone who had a bit of an up and down season. I think towards the end of the season he started to come into it more, and that is Jacob Murphy. I personally think with that length of contract, we will find it nigh and impossible to get rid if we ever wanted to. I don't think he's going to get that many minutes next season, but I don't think anyone's going to come in from when he's got 4 year left on his current deal. He knows himself he's probably not international level or will ever get to that level. So I think for him, unless another Premier League club comes in with a small offer, I don't think we're going to really be able to get rid of Murphy. But the question is, do we want to get rid of Murphy? And I'll pass that to you, Chris. Is Murphy a player that you want to keep around?
I like Murphy and all. But
don't let Decker hear you say that.
It's him and Fraser, isn't it? It's at this moment in time, it's him and Fraser challenging for that position on the right wing. But I think the club will try and bring another right winger in as well. So then you're probably going to have Miggy, Fraser, Murphy, and another, whoever the club bring in, challenging for that spot. I think the club, if they bring somebody else in, I think it probably will be Murphy that'll go, but on loan. Like I said before, it probably doesn't do anything for us apart from get a little bit of the wage off the bill. But it all depends who we bring in. If we don't bring anybody in, then he stays. If somebody comes in, I think the club will look for a number one starter. I think it'll probably be him that'll go out on loan.
We've seen it before with Murphy. He's actually went away on loan and come back a totally different player. I think
it was West Brom he went.
West Brom, yeah. He's a very confidence-driven player. And I think towards the end of last season, his confidence was sky high. And you could see it not only on the pitch, but on the behind-the-scene videos, behind-the-scene photos. He was always the one, with the biggest smile on his face. He was enjoying what he was, the biggest smile on his face, yeah. So I think, like I said, I think if we can get a loan for him, it wouldn't be the best for him, but I think it would be the best for the club. Ian, are you in agreement with that?
I agree with Chris in terms of it's dependent on who we get in. Personally, I don't rate him. So I would look to sell, but given his contract situation, I think the most realistic option, particularly obviously like say if you get someone in, I would look to send him out on loan. But for me, from a personal point of view, I just don't think he's good enough.
I'll pass it over to you.
I don't think he is good enough either.
No, I've made it clear, I think, on Extra Time a couple of times. I'm not Murphy's biggest fan. I just don't see a player in him really at all. He can't really defend. He doesn't like to tackle, from what I can see. He always shies away and backs out of a tackle, which, I mean, if you're playing in a right back position, then that's kind of what you need to be able to do. And going forward, I just don't think he's got the finishing for me. I mean, we've seen it. I was away, hit the post about 3 or 4 times.
Loved it.
he absolutely loves it. Mark, are you in agreement with maybe moving Murphy onto loan?
Yeah, he's a funny one because he's got all the attributes to be a fantastic winger. He's got good pace, good energy. He can deliver a good ball when he puts his mind to it. But as you've just said, his finishing is diabolical at times. Like he just, God, as my United's recent appearance, Mr. John Anderson said, just hit it.
Yeah,
put it in the net.
Just put it in the net. I think he said.
He said both. He said both because
did he?
There's been that many times where Jacob Murphy, using the attributes that he's got in the pace of just going through, getting in behind, and getting through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and it was where he's tried to dink it once.
Was it where he's done it as well, Mark? Where they were just 1-2 in it between each other.
Was it
just both?
Yeah, back end of the season, wasn't it? So
was it against Brighton?
I think it might have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's as an impact sub, he should be doing a lot more than he actually does because he has got that pace. He's great to be able to hit the ball over the top late on and send him through on goal, but you just don't have the confidence that he's going to then finish it. And that's his major downfall. As you've just said, he's on a long-term contract. He's playing for his, the team that he supports as well. So, but he's been out on loan twice. He went to Sheffield Wednesday under Bruce the first time, and then he went to West Brom and came back. We all thought that was the end of it, then when he went out to them, but he came back and he did all right. He did all right when he came in. He filled in that wing back position again, which isn't his position. He's gone in there and tried to do a job, and I guess it worked to some respect, but it didn't bring out the best of him. Long term, is he the answer? I can't see it. So it probably is better to allow him to go.
I think what'll be wise now, Scott, if we look at the three players in that position. So if we look at the likes of Murphy, Fraser, and Almirón, then obviously decide out of those three because.
You're chucking Mickey into that right wing. Mickey's not a right winger.
Yeah, he's a 10, isn't he?
Being played there.
That is true, but he's not going to get in a number 10 role, is he? Really, and he's not. He scored the goal against Palace from the right wing, didn't he? He was on the right.
Yeah, he was on the right. Yeah,
that's where he's been getting played when he came in because we haven't got another right winger because obviously Weeman was injured, wasn't he? So
I think if I'm looking at the three of those players, right, and I'm putting three of them in the categories that I do now, and this will probably shock people, I will put Fraser in keep, I will put Murphy in loan, and I'll put Miggy in sell.
Ooh.
And I like Miggy, but he's not good enough.
I think if the right offer came in for me, I think Miggy's, although stats-wise, he's not. I would argue, I think he's energy, but then it's all about end product when you're a forward, and he's not doing that regularly enough. I think it's just because
Miggy's not the type of player that you loan out. I can't see it. He's either staying or going. He's not getting loaned anywhere.
The problem Miggy's got is we can't play him in his proper position, which is either in a number 10 or on the left side. Not as a left winger. He likes to be more of a left forward, and that's where Saint's going to be, and the way that the formation that we've got and have been playing, then your two midfielders that are going to sit in there are going to be Joe and Bruno. That's why I also don't get the link to Paqueta that we keep getting talked about in there. Yeah. I think when you look at it on paper and you look at those three players, I think realistically that's the three options for them. Now I wouldn't want to sell Miggy because I do, as you've just said, Chris, I like him. Yes, he doesn't have as much end product, but he grafts. He gives absolutely everything to him, and he's going in and playing on that right side because he's had to and being put in there to get a place in the team. But who's at that club at the moment? My first choice right winger is going to be the little fella. He has to be, and then Miggy's probably the one that's got a resale value and could go to somewhere like La Liga or somewhere like that and do a good job because that it would suit them over there.
Well, he's got a 90 million buyout clause, hasn't he, apparently, Mickey Almirón, according to his agent. So 90 million. That's what his agent was telling.
9-0.
Yeah, 9-0.
No one's paying that.
No one's paying that. Not in a month of Sundays. I think that's the question to ask, though. Is Miggy a better player than Jacob Murphy?
Yes.
Yes.
On par.
Give our.
I think you get more from Murphy in terms of an end result, end product in assists.
All round, I think Miggy's a better player, and he gives you more energy. I think he's more of a fan favourite as well. So, like, say if, for example, I know it's very, very small margins that this is edging, but if last 20 minutes you brought on Miggy, he would lift the crowd a lot more than bring on Jacob Murphy.
I disagree.
Really?
I think fans have started to turn on Miggy.
I think so as well.
I think if you had said that start of last season, maybe not anymore. I think fans have turned on Miggy. I think fans have realised that you've had some opportunities now and you haven't really done that much.
Sadly, I don't think he's good enough, but I wouldn't get rid of him this season, especially depending on who you would bring in. I would keep him and loan out Murphy.
Miggy out of the three has the
smashing this on where we're putting any of them.
Well, Miggy out of the three has the less time left on his contract. Yeah, we'll put Fraser in the keep.
Fraser's in the top, right?
That's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Are we selling Murphy or we're loaning him?
I'm loaning Murphy.
Loaning based on his contract.
Mark?
I wouldn't object to him being sold.
But I would want him sold. But given his contract, I don't think that's feasible.
I think
I'm going to say loan as well.
It all depends on
loan to buy.
If you bring in another right winger, then somebody's going out with them.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll put him in loan. So then,
can't see Fraser being in the crosshairs to be sold. Like.
No, I think Fraser gives you more, but Fraser's injury prone a bit more than the others, so that's something to play into.
The only way I would sell him is if
right winger.
You bring in someone with the same height credentials, so he could then take over and be Dan Burns' best friend and still be hilarious.
So are we selling Almirón?
Strengthen that position, don't we? We need it. We need
100%.
Yeah,
I don't know what we're doing with Almirón. I think if we're going off what we think the club will do, I think he stays.
I think the club keeps him. Yeah,
you're going to have to put him in there.
I think he stays unless an offer comes in for him, and then we'd listen to it.
Yeah,
I think if we strengthen, we look to get rid. Yeah, if we bring someone in, he's gone. I agree.
If we don't bring anybody in, he'll stay.
Yeah, I agree.
And he'll smile regardless of what happens.
I think that's tattooed on his face, isn't it? He does have a new tattoo as well. I've saw some of his Instagram pictures. New ink.
He has a new Geordie baby as well.
He does.
He's been partying, and it was Bruno that was in Equinox.
Yeah, Bruno's in Greece at the moment.
Footballers there at the minute, man.
With his sandals.
Kieran Trippier with Wayne Lineker as well. Not a good look.
We'll not talk about that.
Moving, though, the look on Kieran Trippier's face was like,
That's true. That is true. Moving on, I think this next one might be a bit of an easier conversation. It is a man who was out on loan last season to QPR. A signing from the Bruce era, which again was a bit of a head scratcher, but that first game of the season we thought, hang on, we might have had a player here when he got his goal, and he put in a fairly decent performance and then just kind of disappeared into nothingness, didn't he? And that's Jeff Hendricks. Mark, what are your thoughts on Jeff Hendricks? Have you got any thoughts on Jeff Hendricks?
He's got a lovely six-pack. I remember that when we first signed him, there was that topless photo of him in the pool.
These are the credentials now, are they?
He stole my heart with that photo.
Should I rename these?
It's like Degger. Honestly, it's like got Degger again.
He did then start playing or trying to play football for us, and it all went rapidly downhill, didn't it? So
he's honking. He's absolutely honking. He wasn't even getting his game at QPR, was he?
It's madness. This is a player that AC Milan were trying to buy, apparently.
Bollocks, get him in the bin.
It's like, he needs to go, doesn't he?
It's fitting that he was the the last goal scorer of the Ashley era.
He scored some good goals. The West Ham goal.
That was good. The first game of the season, but get him sold. No, just not good.
So we're all in agreement there. Quite unanimous, quite a quick one. Joe Willock. I think if you'd asked me at Christmas, I would say look to get rid, but the last half of the season, I think he was a one where maybe he's proved a lot of his doubters wrong, and I would definitely keep Joe Willock. Obviously, he's still a fairly new signing. He's not going anywhere, really, is he? I think he'll have a really good season next season, if I'm being honest with you as well. I think he could have a good breakout, and he's got a long contract, 2027. So it's him and Murphy are on the long contracts there.
The thing is with centre midfielders, they all offer something different. What we have at this club at the moment, they really do. It's one of those positions where you think, centre midfielder, but it covers such a range of style of play in that position. And I think every single centre midfielder that we've got there offers something different.
Yeah.
But I think we'll 100% keep, 100%.
Yeah. Everyone's in agreement. I think we're going to be saying the same about the next fellow as well, Mr. Joelinton. Again, I think it's one of those ones before Christmas, everyone would have been sell. I think everyone would have been trying to get rid for as much as we could have done. Maybe it's not you, Mark. No, you always saw a player in that.
I've always liked Big Joe.
Big Joe. But I think we're all in agreement that if he was to leave this club, it would be a travesty the way he's been playing at the moment, unless we can get 80 million for him.
I feel I would be like Decker was about Andy Cole if Joelinton left.
I'd be absolutely devastated if Joelinton even wanted to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I would be absolutely gutted. He's staying. He's like,
we'll put him in keep. Absolutely, give him a crown. Yeah, a big golden crown with green gems on it. Excellent. Right, Jonjo Shelvey, Kris. Bit of a divided one amongst fans. He's not been doing too bad, but he is getting on a bit, and he has been picking up a few injuries of late. What would you do with Shelvey?
Keep him. No brainer. Keep him. I've been a huge critic of Shelvey in the past, but he deserves another season at this football club. He's going to be one that'll be that sort of player that'll be happy with his transition period that the club's going through, and he proved last season that he can still offer a lot.
Yeah,
and we're seeing the photos of him returning back to the club, and he looks proper lean. He looks the fittest he ever has done. He's proper slimmed down, and he stays 100%.
He stays. Same for you, Mark.
There was a time where I would add the words, I never want to see Jonjo Shelvey wearing that Newcastle top ever again.
Spurs, I think. Mate.
Yep. And there's, in fairness, there's been a lot of times I've thought I never want to see him wearing a Newcastle top again. But the turnaround in him last season of being able, since Bruno came in and Joe, and that partnership that they had as the front two of that three in midfield, it's allowed Jonjo Shelvey just to sit and be that deep lying playmaker, which we always knew he had the ability to do that, to pick a pass and to, move us up the pitch and stuff like that. But the weakness in his game was the lack of energy, the lack of urgency, the lack of tackling. He doesn't have to do that now. He's got Bruno and Joe in front of him that does the work of five men, let alone two. So he's just got that luxury now of just being able to do what he's good at, and that is just sit, not have to move around a lot, and just ping passes. He stays. It probably is a position that we need to look to strengthen. I don't think we'll do it this season. I think Shelvey will keep that position, but it's a one that we need to look at moving forward, because he's not getting any younger. He's never had the legs, for the best of years, let alone kind of in his age now. So, but yeah, he definitely deserves to stay.
Well, like you said, he's 30-year-old. He's coming into the last year of his contract as well. Iain, does he get an extension for you next season for another year, or would you just say thanks very much for your time and give him one last kind of farewell in next season?
I think this could probably be his last season, and I think he's. Again, I agree with Mark. The Spurs game where he got sent off, obviously it was the first game of the new owners. And I generally said he'd never play another game for me. His upturn, probably not as good as the likes of Joelinton and Kraft, but he's definitely showed what he's capable of doing. I'd give him another season. depending on who we bring in, going like next sort of January next summer, would you look to give him a year's extension? But definitely keeping this season.
Okay, let's keep him for now. So another player who I think everyone, apart from maybe Mark, would agree that would probably be looking to keep. And I'm not going to come to you first, Mark, because I don't think Decker would ever forgive us. Iain, Alan Saint-Maximin.
It's make or break for him this season, I think. I'm on the side of the fence, particularly if we hadn't been in the position we're in January, sort of like last season before the takeover, before I came in. Yes, his goals were points, valuable points, but I feel since he's not the show pony anymore, he doesn't really play well in a team. And if someone came in 40, 50 million, I would have sold him. I think it's definitely make or break the season for him. I think if he has a good season, if he gets some good players around him, see what he can do with better players. But I'm still on the side of I'm not his biggest fan. But for what we've got at the minute, you keep him. But big season for him.
Yeah, I think in terms of the club, do you think Eddie Howe, he's the type of player that Eddie Howe wants, or do you think Eddie Howe would actually want to look to maybe sell him and just say, look, they came up with an offer we couldn't refuse and play that way? Chris, what are your thoughts on maybe getting rid of Saint-Maximin?
Definitely not. He carried that team a lot last season. I think people forget that. He really did. He was the only outlet, and that's because of where the club was, who the coach was, and the players just weren't good enough. Saint carried that team every single time. I think what Iain said to a certain degree is right, that there was times where he didn't look like a team player, but the last handful of games of last season, he did start changing his approach to games. I fully agree that it's probably make or break, but I think he'll have a really good season this year. I really do. And I think anybody that suggests doing anything other than keeping that player is absolutely mental.
So I'll come to you, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, everyone. I think you're absolutely spot on what you're saying with him. This season is a big season for him, because we had the best and the worst of Alan Saint-Maximin last year. He started very, very well. He had an absolutely shocking middle. I don't care what anybody says. It was horrendous at times. But at the back end of the season, he showed a maturity and a change in his game that I didn't think he was capable of doing. Because he did seem. I don't want to say a show pony, because it wasn't all. It wasn't about the show pony. He was just trying to do everything himself. He became much more of a team player in the latter part of last season, and just wasn't trying to beat 4 or 5 men, go past 3, and then turn around and just try and take them on again. He actually tweaked something switched in his mind to actually, and whether that's just through coaching, through the impact of other players around him talking, because Callum Wilson came out at the start of the season and said the same to him. You don't always have to take the players on. Sometimes you just need to do the simple things and pass the ball. And I think finally that seemed to get through to him at the back end of the season. And there was a lot of times where I'd lost hope for him in being able to do that. But there's hope there now that he could go on to become a much more complete player. But it's a big season for him. Yeah. He needs to do that, and he needs to add that consistency to his game. I think because he can be that match winner for us.
I think for me, for Saint, if we improve the players around him, or if Callum Wilson stays fit for as long as he possibly can, or even the whole season, we see a totally different player in terms of his assists and his outlay. I think when Wilson got injured, you saw Saint-Maximin be like, I've got to do this all myself, because I don't think he quite had that belief in the players around him. And I think there was a point in the last season where he actually said that in an interview, and they kind of played it down, but we all kind of really realised that he was getting to the fact that the players around him maybe weren't good enough. I think the club keeps him.
He was right at the end of the day.
Unfortunately, he was, yeah. I mean, we've seen it time and time again where he was the only outlet, he was the only one up there, and it looks like he's trying to take everyone on, but sometimes that was all he had. But by the end of the season, he was passing it.
Tactic though, wasn't it? It's like
pass it to Saint.
Ball to him, and see what he can do.
Yeah, see if he can get with 670 yards up the pitch when we're so deep defending. Okay, we're keeping Saint.
Kick that playing him up front, Lark in.
Yeah, he's not a striker.
Get him out on the left and leave him there.
He likes to play in the number 10 role, so I don't know if you'd try him there behind the front two, but I don't think many teams play like that anymore. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to keep Alan Saint-Maximin. Moving on to the Longstaff brothers, and I'm going to pair them together because personally for me, I think we sell Matty. I think he's had a few loan spells over the past couple of years and that just hasn't come off. I think was he at Aberdeen, and
Aberdeen he
just couldn't even get in the first squad, could he? I think his second loan last season was a bit more successful, but only by Mansfield. But yeah. And I know when Sean Longstaff came on the scene, everyone was like, oh, if you think he's good, wait till you see his brother because he's better. And yeah, Matty came on for that game. Well, he started against Man U, didn't he, and scored that goal. And I think that got him a lot of money in the bank, as Decker likes to put it. But I think maybe a lot of that was a bit unjust, and I don't think he was ready to be thrown in at the deep end like he was when he was. And I think it's knocked the lad's confidence. But for me, I sell Matty and I keep Sean. I think last season, Sean, towards the end of the season, was back to the player that, warranted that 50 million bid from Man U, if you believe that ever happened. I think Sean Longstaff could be, playing alongside Bruno Guimaraes, a great player for us still. There is someone there. It's just he was never the same after his injury. And I think, let him have another couple of seasons with us and see how he gets on there. Ian, what are your thoughts on the Longstaffs?
100% agree with what you said. I just don't think Matty's good enough. So I'd love to sell him. I would argue probably Sean's not good enough, but given the performance as he put in, let's say the last quarter of the season, I think he's earned a chance to show what he can do. So I would sell Matty, keep Sean.
He's just signed a new contract as well, hasn't he, Chris, Sean?
Has he actually signed it? I didn't know if he had or not.
Well, I don't know. There was definitely talks of he was in discussions, isn't there? Yeah. Matty's definitely on his last season contract-wise, so you sell him.
I agree. I think Matty goes. I think we're just wasting my time with Matty. Loan him out, it's going to be pointless. Like I said before, we're not going to achieve anything by loaning him out. So I think Matty will be sold. With Sean, I think Sean, we'll keep Sean, of course we will. I think Sean will go into that Shelvey role as in next season, where Shelvey will leave the club. Then Sean will fill in that position in regards to you're not going to be starting, but you're going to have some sort of impact coming off the bench. He's definitely not going to be starting, but I don't think Sean's good enough. If you're looking at the likes of Willock and Shelvey and put them along there, because obviously you've got Bruno, Joelinton. I don't know. He'll stay. I just don't know for how long.
Do you agree with that, Mark?
I think he stays. Yeah. It was very telling for me, Sean, in the I keep banging on about this pre-season video and the training video, but he looked an absolute beast in that video. To me, it looked like he'd been working hard during the summer. His thighs and the muscles in it just looked unreal. Like I think it could be a season where he's really wanting to make an impact, and hopefully he's put that injury issues behind him. He did start to play very well towards the back end of the season, like you say, starting to recapture, what he'd previously shown. So I think hopefully with the injuries behind him, a good coach now, somebody that can nurture and bring him through, players in and around that he can learn from, and he just seems to love it at the club. Obviously, I know he's a boyhood fan and that, but he seems to be in and amongst everybody, just like talking to everybody what's going on, wanting to learn, wanting to be involved. And I think it could be, maybe if we can kind of keep developing him, maybe he will be a one to take over from Longstaff in the long terms. From Shelvey in the long term. 24-year-old, so he is, he's coming into that kind of age where you'd want him to start to make a bit of an impact. Matty, he still is young. I mean, he's only just turned 22, so there is still a little bit of hope for him. Will he reach that potential? Because that's I heard the same, that he is, the better of the two. He's got more to offer, but I just don't think he's developed at the rate that Sean has in the last couple of years. Will him going out on loan help? He struggled in that first season on loan, I know, albeit it was away in Aberdeen. He only played about half of the season at Mansfield, got a few goals, got a few assists, so it came pretty well in the end. Again, I think did they go up in the playoffs or not? Did they get promoted?
I can't remember if they just missed out.
So, but we've just had this discussion about
Callum Watts. That's what I was.
He was 22 as well.
No.
What's the loan going to do? It's once again, yes, he's a local lad. So he scored two memorable goals, really.
Yep.
I think we're just going to have to be harsh on this one as well.
Last year of his contract as well, so I mean, and that was off an extension, so you don't get another extension. I think it's make or break. I think he's gone for me. Like,
I think it's a minimum of a loan. If an offer comes in, we accept it, don't we? But if nothing comes in with an offer to buy him and go out, he'll go out on loan, and then we'll probably just let him run his contract down, and then he'll walk away at the end of it and join somebody else.
Yep. Oh, I think we all agree with that. Excellent. So that is the midfield all done. We're now going to move on to the 3 strikers that we have left at this club. And we're
very worrying, isn't it?
I know, right?
3 strikers.
Especially when we look at the guy in the middle who probably should have gone a long time ago. I think we'll jump straight into Dwight Gale, actually, because that's more of a discussion than the other two. I think Callum Wilson, I think he's the best striker at the club. And
no brainer.
Chris Wood, I think he's not been here long enough to sell him, to be honest. I think you've got to keep him just for the fact that we spend so much money on him. I don't think we would get anywhere near that for him again. So we'll put him in the keep. And we'll finish with Dwight Gale.
Chris Wood, though, just mentioned, I think he'll have one more season here.
Yeah.
Be him done.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Had we not been in the position we're in, and him,
it was a panic buy. 100% a panic buy.
If I don't think if he had a buyout, we wouldn't have went in for him. But I agree with you. He's been here a season, probably get another season out of him, and then ship him on.
Yeah.
He's got 2 years left of his contract, so maybe he's the one to ship out in January. 18 months left to be a cash-in, so that he doesn't just burn up a contract and then leave on a free after spending all that money.
There's no way we sell him in January, like after having him here for a year. Especially when you look at that of only having 3 strikers at the club. We haven't even filled a squad. We've only got 20 players on that top line. We haven't got enough players for a Premier League squad. So,
that's because we're bringing loads in.
You've got to remember though, Botman isn't on there and Pope isn't on there, so he's only 3 spots that we don't have.
25 this season.
So there's 3 spots that we don't have to fill on there, and obviously we are not holding the purse strings, and we're not saying who is and isn't in the squad. Like, we need to trim some fat in this team, so there are some players to go, and I think moving on to Dwight Gale, I think he's a player who should have maybe gone 2-3 seasons ago. But I'm looking at his contract; he's still under contract for another 2 years.
Give him an extension, didn't we?
We did, didn't we? Yeah, he's 2024. His contract expires.
The only way he leaves is if we bring another striker in.
I don't even think he will. But then, I mean, he seems happy. He was with Muto and Joselu and not getting games ahead of them, and he was happy to just kind of either go out on loan or sit on the bench. He just...
Well, he went to West Brom, didn't he?
He did go to West Brom.
He did
and he had a good season down there, and we thought that would be it. He'd be away, and he came back. He scored some important goals.
He has.
When he has came back in.
Especially the championship season. But again, looking back on that was 6 years ago. You need better caliber players than what you bought for the championship. For me,
even during COVID, when he came into the team and had to play there because, again, through injuries, because as we know, Callum Wilson can't stay fit.
Yeah,
so we had to rely on Dwight Gale being our striker.
I think we're definitely looking at recruitment we definitely need, I'd say, 2 strikers. I sadly don't rate Chris Wood. Callum Wilson, like you say, cannot stay fit. And then I personally think they'll be looking to get rid of Gale.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah.
we'll bring a striker in, whether that be a loan move or permanent signing, but I think we'll 100% bring a striker in. Then Eddie Howe will probably look at that thinking, right, you've got 3 strikers there in Wilson, Wood, and who else we'll bring in. But then I also think you'll argue that Saint could drop in there, even though we've had a discussion saying that he shouldn't be. But I think in his brain, last resort, then Saint might drop into that role.
You got Joelinton as well, remember? I mean, he didn't do it with Bruce, but
never gone up for
he played up front against Norwich and got 2 goals. So, I mean...
I wouldn't want his confidence to take him.
That's true.
By doing that. But I think Dwight Gale, do you know what it is? I'm talking about age-wise, yeah, but I think he might be one of the players if we bring somebody in that goes out on loan with that option to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's 32 at the moment, so... 32 with 2 years left in the contract. If he runs that down and gets to 34, he's definitely going nowhere after that. I think for him, if he wants one last kind of glory season, and bear in mind, last season was the only season in his entire career that he hasn't scored a goal. He's scored a goal in every season that he's been a professional before that. I don't think he'll want...
He should have scored last
He should have scored last season, yeah. He absolutely should have done.
The issue with Gale right now is wage.
Yeah.
Right? He's coming towards the end of his career. If another club isn't going to offer him a similar sort of wage as what he's on at Newcastle, I guarantee you he will be happy to sit and pick up a wage until his contract runs out.
That's what he did last year.
So would the club look to maybe his loan to get some of that back, or do you think we don't care?
I think there'll be a loan with a possible option to buy. But once again, then you're looking at wage demands, and I can't see another club paying the wage to what we have been for Gale. So I think unfortunately, I like Gale. I've always said, Mark will fully agree with us that I've said this, is that I've said he's a great player in the Championship, just not good enough in the Premier League. And I've said it from day one, and I think I'll probably be proven right, to be fair. But I think he'll sit and run his contract out. And rightly so, I would do the same if I was him.
So are we all in agreement to put him in keep, but ideally we'd like to maybe see him move on? The club will keep him, but if it was us, you'd be...
See, I'm not too sure. I think if we get someone in, I think they'll look to sell him. But again...
We've looked to move him out and he hasn't gone. That's the issue.
Is anyone going to buy him? That's the other question now as well, at 32.
Is that actually true, though? Have we actually tried? Because I thought it was just Lewis and Clark who were the two that
refused to go, yeah.
I don't think Gale's name was ever in that mix, to be fair.
I know he was linked with Borough, but that was just obviously rumours.
Fulham was the big one.
Fulham.
To be fair, that could be an option. The likes of Borough, loan him to Borough and splitting the wage bills, but it depends what happens after that season on loan.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's still got another year, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I think we'll bring somebody in, then that changes the narrative, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we've also got, obviously, Santiago Munoz, who's doing bits for Mexico at the minute, so he could also come up and play against Fulham next season. We'll see what happens there. But that was the last player on the list. Obviously, some of the people missing were the newer signings that have come in because, one, they didn't have the picture on the NUFC website, and two, we're 100% going to be keeping them. I was very surprised.
Absolutely ridiculous to put them on this list.
Pope sell, yeah.
Go straight in that top, and it still leaves us two squad numbers to fill there. So,
and that's your striker,
right wing.
Striker right wing. Well, thanks, boys. I've enjoyed this little discussion. If you didn't see the first episode, be sure to go back and watch that, where we have a nice discussion about the defenders and the goalkeepers. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. If you do like this content, be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and ring the bell, just like Ian's dog's been doing against the table with his tail. It's absolutely free for you to do that. It costs you nothing, but it actually means a lot to the channel and actually helps us in great ways there. And if you do want to throw a few quid our way, we also have a membership program. It's $2.99 a month, and that gives you access to the Telegram group, early access to videos, and also some member-only content. And I believe we've got some more big plans for members next season. Is that right, Kris?
Yeah, so I think this season, because like we've mentioned throughout this, the project which the club are undergoing and carrying out, I think we have to match. We have to put more content out as well. I think the thing which we've issued in the past had issues with in the past, is creating the content, because there wasn't much positive happening at this football club. If anything, I think now, like we've seen throughout the summer here since the season finished, there's always something to talk about at Newcastle now. There's always transfer rumours and everything else. So yeah, plenty more content coming from ourselves.
And if you do like the video, subscribe and share it. If you see me or Chris in the Old George after the match, you can have a free cuddle.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to say goodbye. I really enjoyed this one, lads. Thanks very much for your time. Thanks everyone for watching again, and we'll see you in the next one. Smile and wave, boys.
See you later.